You know, pride is an interesting thing. As we've been going through the book of Job, we've talked a lot about suffering. We've talked about how we feel when calamity strikes and the struggles that we have. One of the interesting things that Job is going to deal with in the passage that we're going through today is how he feels in public as a result of what's happening. And we all know how this works. We walk in on a Sunday morning, and whatever's gone on in the week, people ask us, "How are you doing?" And our answer is always the same: better than I deserve, doing just fine, everything's good. We often want to hide those things in our lives that are happening that really are causing pain and hurt, the things that we don't understand, because a lot of times we're just a little too proud to admit that these things are going on. You see, in the book of Job, we've been talking about this idea of justice, and the idea of justice, particularly that Job and his friends are working with, is the notion that good people get good things and bad people get bad things. And if that's the notion of justice that you have, while Job is still struggling with the idea that he's innocent and still suffering, if you hold to the idea that justice means good people get good things and bad people get bad things, then when bad things happen, people around you assume you've done bad things. And even for Job, when he's saying, "I haven't done anything bad," what he knows is that the people around him assume that he has. He has three of them talking to him right in front of him. We've already gone through the cycles of dialogue with Eliphaz and with Zophar and with Bildad, where they all assume that Job has done something bad. And we know how this feels. It's the reason that sometimes when things are really painful in our lives, when we're talking about prayer requests in life groups, when we're talking about what's going on in our life, we try to hide some of these painful things because we're afraid of what people might think if they know what's really going on in our life. We're afraid that we might lose our reputation as somebody who has it all together, somebody who's doing really well, somebody's career is on track. When you face those times at work where you're not sure if you're going to have a job tomorrow, but you've always been the kind of person that people say you've got it all together, it becomes very difficult to deal with what that kind of uncertainty, that kind of pain, that kind of worry brings into our lives. And as Job is entering into his second round of dialogue with all of his friends, he talks with Eliphaz, and one of the things, there's several things that come up, but one of the things that comes up is how he is perceiving his public reputation as a result of the suffering that he's going through. He knows that he's become a byword among people who used to respect him. He knows that people assume that he has thrown in his lot with ruffians and robbers. He knows that people think God has turned against him. And he is really angry about the public reputation that he is losing as a result of this. And part of the reason that he wishes for death, part of the reason that he wishes for the pain to end is not just that it hurts so much, it's that he wants his public reputation to stop suffering. And this is something that we ought to talk about today because we all deal with this. We all care about how people around us feel, how they think, how they perceive us. We try to present the best version of ourselves. It's what branding on social media is all about. It's why we curate our Instagram feeds and our Facebook feeds, why we only put forward the best parts of our lives, because that's how we want people to perceive us. And when things go terribly wrong in our lives and we don't understand it and we don't know how to fix it and we don't know how long it'll last, we often try to hide it as long as we possibly can from other people because we don't want to lose the facade that we've been putting forward. And that's something that we need to work through. It's something that we need to accept. It's something that we need to understand as we move forward in our life with Christ. And that's one of the things that we'll talk about today. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to your life group leaders and let's get started.